Kira here from Homestead How. Welcome to our homestead. Could you feed your family 42 homestead dinners for under $20 total? In today's episode of Homestead How, Jen and I are going to head to the grocery store with a $20 bill, and we're going to see if we can feed our family of 6 a total of 42 homestead dinners. After some planning and strategery at home, we're off to Aldi's with our grocery list and our $20. Hey, wait a minute. Did anybody let the dogs out? Baxter and Ray sure do love the snow. We got to let them out quickly. Look at this shot of Baxter just taking in all of that snow. And then we're going to head off to Aldi's. Wanted to show you guys this shot first though, because this was pretty cool to see. This boy loves the snow. All right, enough of that. Time to go get some groceries. Alright, so we're heading to Aldi's to see if we can spread that $20 to get us 42 homestead dinners. And there's just one little rule. We're going to try to stick with our grocery budget, and at home we're only going to use salt, pepper, and some oil for cooking. Those are the only things not on our list.
So people might be thinking, what are they doing this video for? Well, when times are hard right now, everybody's struggling. 20 bucks can go a long way.
But we're gonna stay away from all the other staples that we have, like garlic powder or grabbing stuff out of our garden. We're only gonna use the stuff we purchased from Aldi's. So let's head on over there and get started. Turkeys do fly! Fly, turkeys! We're finished with our Aldi's run. What do you got to say, Jen?
The Aldi's app is great, but the stuff in the store was definitely a lot cheaper than it was on the Aldi's app, so we were able to get a little bit of pinto beans with it as well to stretch our buck.
Yeah, and we have the full receipt. I'll put it up on the screen. We'll also leave the full list of everything we purchased in the description with all of the prices. But we're under $19 right now, so we still have like $1.40 to spend, and we think we're gonna go to Quick Trip and buy some milk with that.
Yeah.
Heading back to the homestead, Jen and I did some planning, and we hope to really stretch our budget with that flour we purchased for $1.15. We're gonna make bread, buns, and homemade pasta. Besides the bag of flour, we also scored the 10-pound bag of potatoes, a big tube of ground beef, 2 dozen eggs, and a couple other miscellaneous things. It's amazing how much food you can get for $20.
Alright guys, so we're back from Aldi's. This is it. So I'm going to be starting right away and making some bread up with the eggs and the flour. And I have some yeast here. Make a whole bunch of bread. Make the hamburger buns. Use this skillet here, then some bread pans and stuff, and then also make a bun.
We've made lots of homemade bread on our channel. Be sure to subscribe and check back on some of those past videos if you'd like to see the entire process.
Alright, so I let this proof, I think it was about 7 hours now, and it definitely did double in size.
So before our first day of meals, Jen made up a bunch of bread and really spread our budget out with this $1.50 bag of flour. She made 2 loaves of bread, 6 hamburger buns, and we still have a bunch of flour left to do some tortillas and some pasta later in the week. Tiggs is, what is it called? Snoring? Why are you trying to drop into the garbage, Tiggs? Here's one of our cats, Tiggs, trying to steal all the attention while the bread is baking. Tiggs is trying to fall off the counter. All right, we're going to get into the meals now here, and we're going to go pretty quickly. We spend a little bit of time on the first meal, but we're not getting into some deep recipes. We'll share those in the description below. So this video is going to go kind of quick, but make sure to stay tuned till the end because you want to see all this amazing food we cooked and if we were able to do it within our $20 budget.
Alright guys, so as you know, we're doing a under $20 budget, so we had $1.70 or something left over from Aldi's.
$1.40.
Okay, $1.40 left over from Aldi's. So Carrie went, fine. I've never seen, really got it stuck in there. It's bunch of milk go everywhere.
Don't wreck it.
So Carrie picked up this, just a milk bag.
That was from Quick Trip, and it was $1.29 for a half a gallon of milk. Yes, in Wisconsin we get our milk in bags, and then they give you that little pitcher for free. That's Quick Trip. Quick Trip's our favorite store. So with the purchase of this bagged milk, our total grocery bill came out to be $19.93. 7 cents under 20.
But today I'm making smash burgers with this. Use this sparingly, so for today we need to get 6 burgers out of it. So I'm gonna have to figure out how much we can use per one. Obviously it's not gonna be really thick burgers, that's why we're gonna call it smash burgers, so it's gonna be thinner. And then I made some buns to go with it too. Alright guys, so in here we have our stash of stuff on the top. So we have our potatoes, our meat sauce, the rice is back there, the noodles. So I'm just gonna take out the bag of potatoes, and I have to like figure out how many potatoes I can use for the dinner for tonight with the burgers. So each one of these meals are going to have some sort of homestead flair to it. So I'm using my cast iron skillet for today.
And you have your homemade buns that you made yesterday.
And I also made some homemade buns and bread from yesterday and got a head start on that. So that's also going to be part of our meal. So out of that bag of flour, I've made all of our bread already, and it's gone a long way, and we're stretching our buck. So I made all the bread. I'm gonna make my soup with some of it, and it's just gonna stretch the meals even further.
One thing we learned this week was to spread your budget out, you really need to plan well. Got to make these potatoes and the flour stretch through multiple meals.
Pepper's burning my eyes out. So I'm just going to take it and roll it in a ball, and then we'll smash it later. Make sure you start with clean hands. So I ended up making 7 of them, but I know Carrie likes doubles, so I made 1 extra one for him. I'm starting with the burgers today, but we're having shepherd's pie tomorrow, and I already have the meat out, and it's gonna take a while for the potatoes to get done, so I figure I'll do 2 in 1 and get 2 dinners done today, so maybe tomorrow I can relax a little bit. So I'm just gonna grab some I think the only thing in here is vegetables, the potatoes that I have to mash up, and then some seasoning, the salt and pepper and stuff to make the shepherd's pie. Not looking too bad. So I gotta get the potatoes off. I gotta take the potatoes out of here. So this will be our dinner for today.
A lot of potatoes.
Maybe too much, but again, leftovers, that's one of our nights.
Time to make the burgers. Going here, Jen's cooking for the shepherd's pie meat, and then we got all that left over for another meal. This smash burger looks really good. That one I didn't smash good enough, but I learned, so when I do these last 4, they're gonna be perfect. Cutting up our homemade buns. That's mine. My bun. What do we got, Jen?
So I finished my meat, I put my vegetables in it, it's all ready to go. So I'm gonna pour my meat in here. And of course, if you had more staples, you could add stuff to it, like Worcestershire sauce or whatever you want.
Cream of mushroom soup or something?
Yeah, something. It's gonna be kind of blah, but. Goes in the oven tomorrow when you're ready to eat it. We're already having the burgers for today.
Make a nice crusty baked crust with the mashed potatoes.
Put it in the fridge, and then tomorrow when we're ready, we have the bread that I already made. I know I use my hands too much. I made the bread already, so we'll have bread to go with this on the side if we want a little extra, but.
These burgers were delicious, and I'm not just saying that. The buns were so much better than regular buns. We've only done homemade buns one time, and these ones turned out really tasty. If we weren't doing this $20 challenge, normally, because we're homesteaders, we would have a lot more toppings on these from the garden, some fresh tomatoes and some lettuce, some homemade pickles, and maybe even some homemade ketchup to top this off and add a little homestead flair. And the next day it was time to cut up some of this homemade bread and warm up the shepherd's pie. I put the oven on broil to get a nice crispy crust on the top of it. And this was a delicious meal. We ate this up, and we even had a few pieces for leftovers later in the week. To add some homestead flair to this meal, we'd use fresh veggies from the garden, fresh potatoes from the garden, and maybe even some butter as well. Go, you're on. Talk.
We're making tortillas.
This was our first time making homemade tortillas. Alyssa helped, and later Katie came in to help. This was just flour, a little bit of oil, and some water, and a dash of salt. And that was it. Without this flour, we never would have been able to make all these meals within 20 bucks. So there was a bit of a learning curve making these tortillas. We got this press on Amazon for 15 bucks. We'll leave a link in the description below. It worked pretty well, but we also used a roller. The trick that we found was to use lots of flour so it doesn't stick, and make your tortillas thin. Our first ones were too thick, and they taste and cook a lot better if they're really thin. It's pretty good. That's the size it's supposed to be. With a little bit of practice, we ended up making a second batch of these, and near the end we started to perfect the recipe. This is the perfect one. Loose right. This one's pretty good. It's still got to cool a little bit. It's a little bit too thick still. Look at it. Look, we got a perfect one. We got a perfect one. Look at the perfect one.
You're just really
Perfectly round, and it's perfectly cooked.
Look at
Look at. That is a perfect
Look at the
tortilla. that's the starch. All right, Katie's taking over cooking now. See, those eggs are almost done. This is the tricky part. Flip, you go like this, and then you flip it.
I'm not doing that.
Do it. You get it right to the edge like that, and then you go.
That's not good. Yeah, she did it. Oh! I mean, where do you really think you're gonna? No.
Okay, now check your tortilla, and then we go. This one's done. All right, put that in here. Yeah, just jiggle it up. I don't know why I'm using a brush. Can't find anything else to use. Can, but I want to test this first because I don't know what I'm doing. All right, Alyssa and I and Katie finished our breakfast crunch rolls. These were made with homemade tortillas and potatoes and a dozen of the eggs we got from Aldi. So all of this we purchased from the grocery store, really inexpensive, but these are gonna be delicious. Look at this thing. Just like the hamburger buns, it's a ton of work, but it tastes so much better. It's a little bit thicker. It's a lot heavier than a normal tortilla. It just tastes way better than a normal tortilla. Look at that thing. We did this one a little thicker though, so it's almost like a mixture between tortilla and a bread. The other ones were pretty thinner and more crisp. So good. Again, we did this within our Aldi's budget. We made the tortillas from scratch. The hash browns we made out of the potatoes. The eggs, we got 2 dozen eggs at Aldi's. But if you're a homesteader like we are, you could do most of this and not even have to buy any of this stuff. You could go out to the chicken coop and get the eggs. You could go out to the garden if they're in season and pull the potatoes out. Most of this meal you can cook with stuff from your homestead. Hash browns are delicious too. They didn't come out as crispy as I'd like because we didn't use any butter. If you added butter to these, I think they'd look more like diner style hash browns. And we have all these tortillas left over for tomorrow. Don't touch. So we're gonna cook this up. We're gonna have rice, beans, and we're gonna have homemade tacos. Keep going for our tacos, our rice. We got a ton of rice and there's still more left in the bag. And now these are the beans. Wow, those are looking pretty good. I know I'm starting to sound like a broken record here, but if you ever have the opportunity, make some homemade flour tortillas. They're 10 times better than the stuff you get from the store. Again, this would be a lot better with some sides and some toppings, but it was really flavorful and the tortillas were delicious. And this was a great meal, really filling. We have a ton of rice and beans left over as well. To add some homestead flair to this meal in the future, we'd use some fresh produce from the garden and make some homemade salsa. We'll have a ton of pinto beans left over after this meal. Alyssa, how was your first few bites?
Good.
Katie, how are your first few bites?
Good.
Katie, you got all the ground beef. We got a ton of rice left here, and there's still like half a bag left. Try to make some egg noodles. We have a little bit of flour left. Katie, you have to save a little flour because Mom's still gonna make potato soup tomorrow. Man, our flour's going a long way.
How much?
Whatever you think, you're the chef. Katie's got it pretty thin. We're not really even following a recipe. We watched a quick YouTube video, so I don't know if we're doing this right. Go really straight lines. homemade noodles. This spaghetti sauce has meat in it. It's a meat sauce, so we'll get a little bit of protein out of that. Obviously, it'd be great to have like a salad or something with this, but on our $20 budget, this is still gonna be a really filling meal. We have this whole thing of pasta. What is it, a pound? 2 pounds. 2 pounds of spaghetti noodles. Katie's homemade spaghetti noodles, sauce, and bread is gonna be the dinner for today. These noodles would be better in like a chicken noodle soup, but it was still a fun little experiment, and we still had 2 pounds of dried noodles left from our Aldi's purchase. In the future, we definitely go with Jen's homemade spaghetti sauce, which she actually made earlier this year from tomatoes from our garden. You got your bread and your spaghetti. How is it?
Good.
Melissa, how's the spaghetti?
It's really, really good.
Baxter, how's the spaghetti? Less than a week ago, we had a huge thunderstorm on the homestead, and a lightning strike hit a tree, a huge tree on our homestead, and split it into 3 pieces. Now, less than a week later, it's snowing out. Our dog Baxter sure does love the snow, and nothing tastes better on a cold and snowy day than a warm bowl of homemade potato soup with some homemade bread to go with it as well. And that's what we're going to be making for day 6.
Amazed at how far our 10-pound bag of potatoes have gone. We've made several recipes with this. In the last part I'm using with these, I think I had about 7 potatoes left. I'm gonna make a cheap potato soup. If I had other things like garlic and onion, I would throw it in, but we didn't get that in our budget, so it's just going to be, I have leftover milk, and I have my potatoes, and I'm gonna thicken it up with a little bit of flour. I'm gonna cook it really quickly in my Instapot. I absolutely love this thing. I call it an Instapot. It's Instant Pot.
Pressure cook it.
So you're gonna just push it on pressure cook for I do 15 minutes.
I hate this thing because it always says keep warm.
Take off the keep warm.
Why would it?
Let it do its thing.
I thought that just meant after it's done it would keep it warm. Why would it keep it warm now if you have it on pressure?
I don't know. So it'll finish, it'll blow up and steam will come
Blow the
out.
whole house up and then you'll know it's done.
So my Instant Pot soup is done. I just have to add some milk to it. If you have more than $20 budget, you can also add, you know, your onions and garlic, whatever you want. But in here is just water, potatoes, and I'm gonna add some milk. So it's not gonna be the best, but it's what we have on hand. So
Salt and pepper. Salt will make you good. On a snowy day, this soup really did hit the spot, but to add a homestead flair to it and some more flavor, normally we'd add some fresh onions from the garden, some garlic, some celery, and maybe even a little bacon crumbled on the top. So how's the soup tasting?
really good.
Did you try the bread too?
Not yet.
Soup and bread. All right, it's our last day, and we have leftover rice. We have like 10 eggs left. We used a couple for the spaghetti. We have some leftover spaghetti, a bunch of shepherd's pie, potatoes, a whole bunch of beans and rice. So we're gonna do leftovers today. I think there's 2 pieces of bread too. And we were gonna take half of this rice and use some of these eggs and make some
Fried rice.
vegetable fried rice. Oh, and there's still some vegetables in the refrigerator. So that's the leftover veggies from the shepherd's pie. We're gonna mix some of those in with the rice and make some vegetable fried rice. But my camera is running out of battery, so that's gonna be our last day. We did 42 meals for how much?
Under $20, so it's like $19.70.
We have half a gallon of milk left, a couple pieces of shepherd pie we're gonna eat today, but by the time we're done eating all this, I think we're still gonna have a couple leftovers.
Yeah.
We still have a half a bag of rice in there. We did use all the flour though.
Yep.
Yeah, so for $20, we did 42 meals, and the thing that was really cool was, it was a lot of work, but the food was way, way better.
Yeah, it was.
The buns she made on day one were so good. I don't know how to describe it. You're like, oh, it's just a bun, but when you just eat a cheap bun your entire life.
It's like when you go to a really nice, really expensive restaurant, it tasted like that. It was nice and crispy on the outside, and then it was like, not mushy, but how you say it, moist and
had some density to it.
Really good. So I mean, yeah, I'm definitely going to be making more buns for the family.
And the tortillas, the girls were just raving about those tortillas. It was so much extra work, but if we ever do a big like taco night, I'm just gonna have the girls make up some homemade tortillas because it tastes so much better. Plus, you could spread your budget out. That $1.50 we spent on the flour and then some yeast went so far. We got loaves of bread, hamburger buns, tortillas. Yeah, so what do we learn from this? You can feed your family for cheap for $20. You can still get some good meals if you're willing to put in the work.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of work to make homemade pasta and homemade buns, but that's why you're a homesteader, because you want to do stuff yourself.
And it was cheap, and it was fun, and it was a good family thing to do together.
And it's pretty amazing that we did all this for $20. If you think about it, just the first meal we had, that was 6 hamburgers with fried potatoes on the side with homemade buns. Try to go get that meal for 20 bucks alone. That was only 6 of our 42 meals that we ate for under $20. So it's pretty amazing how far $20 would go.
Yeah.
We could literally do this for 4 weeks, which is a month. That would be $80, would cover all of our dinners for a month. That's crazy. But it would be a lot nicer to have some other things, like with the hamburgers if you had some cheese on them, with the potato soup if you had some garlic and some seasoning and maybe some green onions or bacon crumbled on it.
Well, sure, but I mean, we're just showing people how to do it for $20. But if you have things in your pantry that you're going to use and you want to do a $20 budget, go for it. Use the stuff that's in your pantry, make things better, but do a $20 budget.
That's going to be our background.
Doesn't matter.
We bought more flour in bulk because we're going to be cooking a lot more with flour going forward. Next time on Homestead How. It's starting to get really cold on the homestead, the snow's starting to fall, and soon we're going to have to turn on our outdoor wood burner. We also had a huge lightning strike at our house that splintered a tree into 3 pieces. We're going to have to cut that up with our chainsaw. That was the lightning we heard the other day. If you guys enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button, please hit the thumbs up, share with a friend. We put a lot of work into this one, including my daughter Alyssa with all of the camera shots in the beginning. It took about 4 hours just to leave the car that day to get all of those shots. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks a lot for watching.